Hello and welcome. I have another tutorial to share with you today. We are going to be covering these Macbook boxes with beautiful Lokta paper. So I'm using the color pumpkin today. I'm just showing you the label from that paper, and this is the bottom part of the Macbook box, and I just had to kind of rip out the interior, and that's the beautiful paper that I'm going to be using. And we also need a paper piercer, a pair of scissors, those are non-stick scissors, and a label pull and some brads for that label pull, and I'll have a link in the description box on where you can find those label pulls. So the first thing you want to do is take your paper outside and spray it with some spray adhesive. You want to make sure it's in a well-ventilated area. Then just place your box in the center of the paper and press down firmly. Then I'm going to be cutting both sides of the paper up to the corners of the box. Now I'm going to be approaching this project a little bit differently than the other projects I have done where I'm covering boxes with this paper, because I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough paper to cover the interior. So I'm going to cut this excess piece of paper off here with my X-Acto knife to give it a nice clean cut, and I've got a little cutting mat underneath there. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, cutting up to the corners of the box and then using my X-Acto knife to cut it off. Now you can probably see that I've left about 1/4 of an inch on either side, and I'm going to wrap that up to the side of the box. It gives it a nice clean edge on the bottom to make sure that you don't see any white parts as you begin to cover the rest of the box by lifting up the sides and then wrapping them around that part of the box. So here I'm also going to cut off these extra pieces. I actually didn't really need to, and I actually cut one of those sides a little bit too small in thinking that I had enough. So I'm wrapping this piece around here, but when I get to this side I realized that I didn't leave enough paper, and so I just took a small little scrap here and I added to it. And you can kind of see where those papers come together, but once the whole project is complete you can barely tell that I had made that mistake there. So next you want to come in and clip down all 4 corners of the paper, and then we get to the fun part. I love this part where you're just wrapping the paper in. It's so satisfying just to get all of those corners nice and smooth down inside. And once you get all 4 of these flaps smoothed in and just well adhered down, you're going to see that we have a huge big white open space in the middle. And that's why it was really beneficial to cut those pieces of paper beforehand. This one was still a little bit too big, so I needed to trim it down. And of course it still has the adhesive on it, and then they just work into place really easily, and this project is just about done. It only takes a few minutes to do this once you get the hang of it. So I'm just going to add this label pull to the outside of the box using the brads to set it in place. I'm using my paper piercer to fold open those prongs on the back. And then the last thing I want to do is add a little label. And again, since I'm not sure what these boxes are going to be used for yet, these labels are pretty generic, and I think this one just says today, and I just stamped it with some black ink on a piece of craft paper, and then it slips right into place, and it's such a beautiful finishing touch. So here are a couple of close-ups of the box when it's all finished. And if you'd like to catch up on more of these tutorials where we're upcycling different boxes, you can click here for that complete playlist, because there are quite a few now. And you can always check out more pictures on Instagram at Pepper and Pine. Thanks for watching.